It's data time! Data? I made a spreadsheet! Is it actually cheaper to use a bedsheet as garment sewing material than it is to use regular fabric on a bolt from a fabric store? Simple answer, yes. Of course, yes. Here are a couple examples of fabric prices at my local fabric store. Yes, of course, Madame Joanne. And here's a bedsheet that I got at Goodwill for $1. But that's not exactly a fair comparison, now is it? Here's a set of bedsheets for over $1,000, and here's some regular fabric that I got at Remainders for 35 cents a yard. Perhaps the answer is not so simple. And who wants a simple answer anyway when you can go on a highly unscientific deep dive on the topic and gather some data, right? So yesterday, I did some reconnaissance. That is a word that I just realized that I don't think I've ever seen written out. Auto captions better spell it for me. I crawled out of my hobbit hole not just for a quick errand, but for a whole day of shopping, or at least taking pictures of price tags, because I was not about to buy everything I saw. I started at Joanne for some base prices for common bedsheet materials, so we're talking cotton, linen, polyester, rayon, modal. I forgot that flannel bedsheets are a thing, but it's fine, we'll get those prices off the website if we need them. And Joanne is not exactly well stocked in linen or silk, so I also got some prices online off of Mood Fabric's website to supplement. And while I didn't feel a need to visit Remainders for this one, or rather I forced myself to not use this as an excuse to go rifle through their remnant bins, I always have their typical $4 a yard prices in the back of my brain, along with all of the other thrift store prices that I found recently when I did like my online fabric exploration video thing. So that is our A group. Yardage, regular fabric. Then 'twas time for the B group, bedsheets. I wanted to compare prices from a bunch of different locations, as well as find a bunch of different materials and thread counts and sizes. Size is kind of a huge part of this. Like a single twin-sized top sheet versus an entire king-sized bedsheet set is like a massive difference if we're talking amount of material there. Dude, the pillows that come with king-size sheets are enormous. That alone makes a difference. Are you automatically supposed to have bigger pillows just because you have a bigger bed? Because we don't. We just have regular sized pillows and then these giant pillowcases where the whole second half of them is just flapping needlessly in the breeze. I don't really get it. Anyway, here's where I went. The first sort of category of store in my head was thrift stores, so I hit up a Goodwill, Goodwill Outlet, Salvation Army store, and then like a local thrift store that I don't think is a chain. Category 2 was the like overstock stores, you know what I mean, there's so many of them. I've always been told that they sell the leftover stock from other stores, and I'm not gonna look into that further because that is not the point of this video. I went to Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and Home Goods. And finally, I visited both a Walmart and a Target to represent sort of the big box stores that are known for being on the less expensive side. Because I'm aiming for inexpensive overall, I didn't feel the need to seek out more expensive sheet sets. Why did you think that was gonna work? A quick online search will allow us to compare the price of a silk sheet set and silk yardage once we have the final measurements. What I was aiming to find was more of a range of the cheapest ones out there, whether that's because they're secondhand, they're on sale, or they're just from stores with lower prices. How does the production and consumption of stuff like bed sheets and duvet covers play into the larger landscape of fast fashion, considering they're made of fabric but are not garments? I don't have an answer for that. I just thought I'd bring it up and let you discuss. I mostly just took notes and photographs of prices as compared to size and material, like some sort of really weird undercover journalist. But I did also want to purchase one full set of each size, which here in America is twin, full, queen, king, and California king. You know how everything is bigger in Texas? I wonder if anybody there is fighting to get them renamed Texas King. The reason I wanted to purchase one of each size is the same reason that I wanted to make this video or look into this topic in the first place. I realized that I have no actual concept of the size of a sheet, any sheet. When I hear a sewist say that they got some sheets at Target to make their garment, I'm automatically like, yas, good choice. But when I look at sheet sets at Marshalls, I balk at the prices because I have Remainders $4 a yard stuck in my head. And I've never taken the time to just measure some stuff and figure out if $30 for a queen-sized bedsheet set is more or less than than $4 a yard. Until now. And yes, I absolutely realized that I could just look up the measurements of bed sheets. They are quite literally printed on some of the packages that I just purchased, or you know, it's a quick Google search. But that is not really what we do here. I am hands-on, baby. Or eyes on. I really need to do it myself, to see it myself, in order to fully understand the difference between the sizes, the amount of usable fabric, and how that compares to yardage from a fabric store. Let's measure some bed sheets. The reason I wanted to measure the sheets personally is because I'm not going to count anything that is not plain, flat fabric in my measurements. Like, yes, you could use the top of the sheet where the border is, it could be super handy, but depending on what you're making, you also may not be able to use it. So I'm going to consider that a bonus. Yeah. Same with the edges or the sides of the fitted sheets and the folded tops of the pillowcases. That's all bonus material in my calculations. Initially, my plan was to take all of the elastic out of the fitted sheets to get a more precise measure, which I accomplished on the twin sheet. Ow! But then that idea kind of fell apart. That elastic is actually sewn in to the fabric around it, so not cutting that out. Ain't nobody got time for that. Also, I might end up using both the queen and king sheet sets that I bought as, you know, actual sheets. So I decided it was best to not mutilate them. So here in the land of absolute refusal to learn the metric system, fabric is typically sold by the yard, but for some annoying reason, at least it irks my brain logic, the width of material is traditionally either 45 inches or 60 inches, neither of which is cleanly divisible by a yard. It's usually more like 43 or 58 inches in the end too, but let's ignore that. They did not take the thingy off. Promise I didn't steal it. Good thing it only goes through the bag. Therefore, I'm gonna focus on square feet rather than square yards, and we're gonna compare to 60-inch material as much as possible, cause what on earth is up with the 45 inches, y'all? This means in every yard of fabric, you have 15 square feet. 15 square feet for $15 equals $1 for every square foot. 15 square feet for $4 being about 27 cents per foot. Yeah? Cool. These smell weird. I know in the rest of the metric world, fabric is sold by the meter, and from my visit to the Paris fabric district, it seems like 3 meters is sort of a standard cut, but is the width the same elsewhere? Seems like it would be, just because fabric is manufactured and imported from all over the world, so I would assume you're kind of getting the same material that we're getting here? Yeah? Also, while we're talking how things are in your home country, what are standard mattress and therefore bedsheet sizes where you're from, if you're not from the United States? How many sizes do you have and what do you call them? I'm fascinated, seriously. Please tell me about this random, typically uninteresting thing in your life if you are from anywhere else in the world. Okay. So some first thoughts before I calculate anything. That was exhausting and I am sweaty now. Top sheets are frickin' huge. And the king size sheet is the same size, if not like 1 inch bigger, than the California king sheet, which makes me feel lightly scammed. Gonna go do some math real quick and then we will talk details.
2,000 years later.
Okay, this is fascinating to me. I have so many thoughts. Get on board. First of all, a reminder that this is not scientific at all, in case you couldn't tell by the way I was measuring things. But I still think it gives a really good idea of basically what bed sheets are worth to a sewist. It's not really what I expected. It makes me sound like a BuzzFeed article. Number 17, not what I expected. Okay, so first let's talk actual sizes. What are the measurements? I won't go through all of the square inches and the square feet. I'll just throw up my spreadsheet and you can read those for yourself if you want. But basically, when it comes to your sets, starting with twin size, you typically either have a 3-piece or a 4-piece, which would be a flat sheet, fitted sheet, and a pillowcase, or 2 pillowcases. So a 3-piece twin came to 67.65 square feet, and a 4-piece twin came to 75.17 feet. I calculated the square yardage from that, but again, because fabric comes in 60-inch or 45-inch lengths, the square yards don't really mean much to us. It doesn't really compare at all to fabric on a bolt. So I divided all of these numbers by 15 to match up with that 15 square feet of a 60-inch 1-yard piece of fabric. So a 3-piece twin is comparable to about 4.5 yards of 60-inch wide fabric, a 4-piece twin comparable to 5 yards. I say comparable because obviously it's not quite the same. It's not all one piece. You have 2 different sheets and a small pillowcase, but still overall that's about the amount of fabric that you're getting, just sort of in a different form. Also, I found it really interesting that a pillowcase, before you get up to like the king-size ones, is about 7.5 square feet, which is exactly half of a 60-inch wide yard of fabric. I don't know, I feel like you could compare the price of pillowcases to like fat quarters, because every pillowcase is basically giving you 2. And that was without counting the border, like the folded edge that's on the top of most pillowcases. That was just the fabric below that. But also interesting was that among the pillowcases that are the same size, so twin, full, and queen, there was still slight size variation. Like the queen pillowcase is actually a little bit smaller than the twin and the full were, which is again why this is very unscientific, because I think there would just be some slight size variation between sheet sets themselves, even if they're all the same size. Like one queen set compared directly to another one probably is going to have some slight size variation, and I'm of course just going off of the measurements I took from one. So highly unscientific. Moving on, when you get to full, queen, king, and king, everything tends to come in 4-piece sets, so your flat, fitted, and 2 pillowcases, but you do also sometimes find 6-piece sets that include 2 extra pillowcases. A 4-piece full, y'all who names things, that's very confusing. Full just sounds like I'm saying like, it's a full set, like everything is there. Not it's a full set, like full is the size. Who's in charge of naming things? I digress. A 4-piece full set, 93.3 square feet, which is comparable to 6.25 yards of fabric. If it's a 6-piece set, it's 108.3 square feet, comparable to 7.25 yards of fabric. Then we have a 4-piece queen set that is 106.81 square feet, comparable to 7 yards of fabric. The 6-piece queen is 121.25 square feet, comparable to 8 yards of fabric. So that's all logical. You get an extra yard of fabric when you get those extra 2 pillowcases. Moving up to the king, and here's where we get those bigger pillowcases. It goes from being about 7.5 square feet up to being 10 square feet. So la-dee-da. A 4-piece king set is 134.37 square feet, comparable to 9 yards of fabric. A 6-piece king being 154.37 square feet, comparable to 10.25 yards of fabric. Then we get to those California king, which I thought was a little bit bigger, right? Didn't we all think that a California king is bigger than a king? I mean, it is, but only in the fitted sheet. The flat sheet was smaller. Why? So a 4-piece California king is 135.62 square feet, 9 yards. 6-piece California king, 157.78 square feet, about 10.5 yards. So yeah, just looking at those numbers, those measurements, is already fascinating to me. Seeing how it compares to yardage, it's a lot more than I think I thought. I mean, especially when you get up to those king and California kings and you've got 9 yards of fabric. However, my brain still can't really compute from those numbers what the prices are or how the prices compare, which is why I went to so many places and I took pictures of so many price tags with the size, with the type of material, with the thread count. Here's an interesting thing that I was surprised by. I was coming into this wondering, why do we care so much about thread count on bed sheets, but not on actual fabric, not on our clothing. Like, no one ever talks about this article of clothing being 600 thread count. So why do we do that on sheets but not clothing? But then, the more that I was going to these stores and looking at all of the sheets and looking at all the information that was on the packages, not very many of them mentioned thread count. Actually, it was like probably only like 10 or 15% of the ones that I looked at noted the thread count. So I don't know what's up with that. Thread count in general, I don't really know what's up with it at all. But here's where my actual big ol' spreadsheet comes into play. Apparently I photographed something like 116 different sheet sets. Good times. I love a little bit of research. So if we just line up and look at all of our price per square foot that I calculated here, nothing goes over $1. The most expensive one was 76 cents per square foot. And that was the only linen sheet that I found at any of these locations, I think. It wasn't even legit. It said linen blend on the front. You look at the back and it was only 15% linen. It was 85% lyocell, whatever that is. The cheapest ones that I found were, of course, from the Goodwill outlet, which we'll talk about in a second. But once you start getting to the more normal stores, not the thrift stores, it starts as low as 13 cents. Now, granted, that's almost entirely for polyester, microfibers. Like, that's not the cotton sheets at all. We've got a cotton blend, 60% cotton, from Walmart coming in at 17 cents per square foot. But the first 100% cotton sheet is from Ross at 21 cents per square foot. And then you start getting a lot more of the cotton starting at 24 cents and going up from there. So yeah, this is just fascinating to me because yes, I did find a lot of sheets that were cheaper than my $4 a yard at Remainders, and then the rest of them more expensive. So it really is one of those things where it's like, this is not a straightforward answer. It's not an automatic yes or no to are bed sheets cheaper than fabric, which is why I wanted to get so specific with it, because I wanted to be able to look at a set of bed sheets, look at the price, look at the fabric, look at the size, and know like, hey, generally, how much am I paying compared to what I would pay for fabric? Fascinating. I hope you're into this. I'm into this. You might not be into this, but this is so cool to me. So let's talk through each of the places that I visited, starting with the Goodwill outlet, because it's the first place that I went, and it's also where you're gonna find the cheapest thing. So Goodwill outlets are the places where they throw everything in giant blue bins, like straight from donations. It hasn't been touched, it hasn't been fixed, it hasn't been gone through. It gets dumped in these giant blue bins and you can dig through it, and they generally charge you per pound when it's clothing, but for linens, it's a flat price of $2.49 per linen. Of course, you are having to dig through all the giant bins, and these are definitely used items. But that's not to say that you can't find some good stuff, and you just bring it home, wash it on high heat, dry it on high heat. It's fine. So I was just digging around lightly. I didn't spend too long there, but anytime I found something that looked like a sheet, I would just check the tag. I found a Charter Club king-sized fitted sheet that was 70% viscose, 30% cotton. That would have been $2.49. I found 2 matching sheets, so it was the flat and the fitted one, 100% cotton, queen-sized. Now the question is that $2.49 for each of them or $2.49 together? I think that depends on who's checking you out. I ended up getting a set of twin-sized shark sheets. The shark fabric stood out to me, and then I pulled out one and I was like, yeah, this is cool, and immediately found the other one and the pillowcase right there. So I was like, perfect, it's the full set. I brought that whole thing up to the register and the woman looked at it and went, oh, a linen, $2.49. So I got the full set for $2.49, which means I got it for 4 cents per square foot. So then you also have Goodwill stores where everything has been priced and theoretically cleaned or repaired a little bit. I don't typically shop much at Goodwill stores. Quite frankly, to me, they're a little overpriced. However, you can find new sheets here. Like they had a whole shelf in the back that was packaged sheet sets. They were all microfiber, so you're probably not going to find as many natural fibers there. But the very first thing that I ever made, that purple skirt that I wear all the time, was made from a microfiber sheet that I got at Goodwill. And the prices there still come out to like 13 to 15 cents per square foot, which is definitely on the lowest end compared to prices from any other place. They also do just have like linens hanging up that they've priced. I did see like a California King. It was actually two. It was the fitted and the flat sheet together, 100% cotton, and they had labeled it $14.99, so that's still that 13 cents per square foot. Over at the Salvation Army store, I can't really get any calculations for this stuff because none of the sheets that I saw, and they didn't have that many, most of them did not have tags with a lot of information on them. I found two that were 100% polyester and one that was 100% cotton. They had labeled all of their linens $7.99, despite the fact that there were definitely size differences, and despite like the polyester versus cotton, they did not seem to care. It was all labeled $7.99. Same with the other thrift store that I went to. It's called Hope of the Valley. They did look like they at least looked at the size or the fabric on theirs, because they had labeled the cotton ones $6.99 and the polyester ones like $3.99 or $4.99. So that was my thrift experience. Oh, random side note, y'all. I found a garment while digging through the bins at the Goodwill outlet that was made out of this fabric, this exact fabric that I got at Remainders. I finally discovered where it came from, I guess. Okay, so jumping over to Walmart and Target next, because quite frankly, I found them a little disappointing. So overall, looking at the prices by square foot at Target, there is quite a range, and what I find most interesting is that the way that the prices go up for the size going up, twin to full to queen to king, is not even with the amount of fabric you're getting, if that makes sense. If we look at like their Room Essentials set, which is like the cheapest ones that they sell, they're microfiber, starting with a twin set for $9.50. That's 13 cents per square foot, but then the full set is 16 cents per square foot. The queen is 18 cents per square foot, and then the king goes back down to 16 cents. That's so fascinating to me because that's not really like, well, it doesn't seem like that big of a difference to the consumer. Tiny cents like that make huge differences to massive companies like this, because of the amount that they're selling. So then you have the brand Opal House that they're selling that's 100% cotton percale? That word? Massive in the sheet industry right now. I should look this up. I don't know what this means. I'll look it up in a second. But yeah, this one makes more sense. The price per square foot actually goes down as you go up in size. Oh, interesting. But now you have that same thing. So over at Walmart, the Mainstays brand, that is their cotton blend, 58% cotton, 42% polyester. Yes. The twin is 26 cents per square foot, the full 27, the queen 37, and the king 29. I am questioning this so hard that I'm gonna redo the math. My math was wrong. Okay, my math was wrong, but my point still stands. The queen is 33 cents per square foot, not 37. But that is still the most expensive per square foot out of the entire group. And judging by the stock at both Walmart and Target, I'm assuming that queen size sheets are the most sold, because every single shelf, it would be like twin, full, 2 shelves of queen, and then king. So then it's very fascinating to me that queen size is for some reason also the highest price per the amount of fabric that you're getting. I feel like we've slightly gone off topic here. Anyway, my point about Target and Walmart being, there is a range there, but the range is very specifically like the cheap stuff is polyester, it's microfiber, and when you get up to the cotton stuff, there's not generally a lot of variation when it comes to like prints. The Opal House brand at Target was like the cute prints, and everything else was basically solid colors. Yeah, like overall, I just wasn't super impressed with the variety that they had. I was much more impressed with the overstock stores, or whatever you want to call those. I was most impressed with Home Goods. They had a lot of options. So because you're just getting overstock from all of these different brands at these stores, you have a lot of variety, and you had a lot more of like cute or trendy prints. Like there were some really adorable ones there. A lot of them were polyester, but like if you're okay with using polyester, you can get some really cute prints there at like a really good price. So at Marshall's, we have a range from 18 cents per square foot. Again, for microfiber, it goes through a bunch of polyester. We get into cotton around 24 cents per square foot, and it goes all the way up to 37 cents per square foot. Ross starts us out at 13 cents per square foot. Again, polyester microfiber. We hit cotton up at 21 cents per square foot, and it ranges up to 28 cents per square foot. Interesting at Ross that the two cheapest ones by square foot were the California King. If you are just looking for a ton of fabric and you don't mind that it's polyester, getting the polyester or the microfiber California King sets is like real good deal. Over at TJ Maxx, we start with 18 cents per square foot. We hit the first cotton sheet at 32 cents per square foot, and we go all the way up to 56 cents per square foot. Interesting that the 56 cents per square foot is for 100% Tencel lyocell? I gotta look up what that is really fast. Oh, regenerated cellulose fibers. Lyocell is the most environmentally friendly variation of rayon. They're semi-synthetic fibers. Okay, thank you. I don't need your help. I'm just reading your thing. Lyocell made from eucalyptus and modal made from beech. Okay, that answers why the Tencel lyocell sheet was the most expensive one at TJ Maxx. And I shan't go into that further because I am not a textile expert. And then Home Goods, over there we start with 16 cents per square foot. Interestingly, that was for a satin sheet set. Of course, that's 100% polyester, so it's not necessarily any fancier. It just feels like it is. And they went all the way up to 56 cents per square foot for some William Morris sheets, which I think is what I bought. Oh no, I bought cabbages and roses. Haha. 12 cents cheaper per square foot. So what did I buy? I got the twin-sized set at the Goodwill outlet. At Marshall's, I picked up a full-sized set, 100% cotton. I just thought the print was really cute. I will say, when I was measuring it, I was a little surprised by the texture of the sheets because they feel like polyester, but they say they're cotton, so who am I to question? At TJ Maxx, I got a queen-sized set, Rachel Ashwell. Again, I don't know any of these brand names. Does anybody like recognize sheet brand names? Because I do not. These came out to 37 cents per square foot. I ended up not getting any king sheets until I was at Walmart, which was my last stop, so I just kind of had to get some there to complete the set. I went a little bougie because I might just throw these sheets on our bed at some point and got the 100% Egyptian cotton. And then the California King, cotton per cowl, there's that word again. I said I would look it up, so let me look that up. But before I do, that came out to 44 cents per square foot. What is percale? Percale?
Percale.
Percale. Percale is the style or design of weaving that makes the material strong. Okay, that makes sense. Bed sheets generally need to be strong. So they're literally just saying, this is cotton and we wove it this specific way. Fair enough. I think the same goes for sateen, because I saw several different things that were labeled sateen, and they all had like vastly different actual fiber makeups, which is interesting to me that the percale was always 100% cotton. So what is my takeaway here? What is my point? I mean, I feel like I learned a lot from doing all of that. I hope it was helpful information for you. I really wanted to compare each of the sheets to each other, and I will say that like a twin top sheet sounded really small in my head, but as I'm laying that out, I was like, this is already wider than 60 inches. I did stack up all of the sheets so that I could directly compare the sizes to each other, which is how I saw that the King and the California King were the same size. But I'll try to also do it in like a flat graph form because I was not able to get a flat down from the top view, because I can't be a fly on my ceiling. So it was very interesting to see how they compare. I will say if you ever run across like a king-sized sheet set and then a California king next to it, and the California king is more expensive, go with the king because there's not much size difference between the two of them. Which brings me to one of the main pros, I think, of using sheets instead of using fabric from the store. Even if it comes out that they're about the same price in the end, there's a perk to using bed sheets, and that is the uninterrupted size. Particularly if you are a circle skirt person like me. My very first split side skirt, the blue and white one, was made out of a duvet cover. So I was able to get a double circle skirt with it being like ankle-ish length without having to piece anything on there. You know, it was plenty long enough for that. So if you're trying to make like a circular ball gown skirt, a circular evening gown of any kind, getting a sheet can be way better because on yardage, you are restricted to that 60 inches. On the other hand, a con of using bed sheets is that you're just going to be kind of limited when it comes to prints and colors. But I will say I was really pleasantly surprised by the variety and the number of different prints that were at the Marshalls, the TJ Maxx, the Home Goods kind of stores. There's a lot of what I would call like cottagecore feeling prints, like the purple and white one that I got. Gorgeous. Like that is gonna make a stunning dress, and I have so much fabric there, you know it's gonna be a big, stunning dress. Oh, one last thing that I wanted to look at, which I will do while I'm editing, is the price of silk. I'm just gonna use like some silk from Mood Fabrics as an example, versus the price of silk bed sheets when you break it down to square foot. So I'll put that on the screen right now because I don't feel like looking it up, but I was fascinated to see if like once you get up to the expensive fabrics, if this kind of stuff still applies. That's about all the information that I need in my brain. There are certain projects where, yeah, it might be worthwhile for me to go out to TJ Maxx or Home Goods. Home Goods had good ones. Not a sponsor, by the way. I feel like that's pretty obvious by now. None of these were sponsored. But ultimately, the answer to the question, are bed sheets cheaper than fabric by the yard, is maybe, maybe not. It really depends on what kind of fabric, where you're getting the bed sheets, and what you're comparing it to. You know, if you don't have a thrift store for fabric nearby, if you don't have that option where you can get like $4 a yard fabric, then yeah, sheets absolutely might be the cheapest thing out there. But if you're looking at like the clearanced fabric at Joann, where it's maybe $5, $6, $7 a yard, even like $8 a yard, they're kind of the same price. Anyway, hope you had fun with this exploration. I randomly found myself questioning one day what a bed sheet was worth for a sewist, and then this happened. So, huzzah! Ow. Ow. I think I've said ow like 5 times in the last 2 minutes. Cold floor, cold floor. Sometimes placement is all about just where my glasses don't reflect. Somebody's dive bombing a plane now. Let's measure some sheets. Let's measure some sheets. That is a tongue twister, and I did not know I wrote it that way.